Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming to the AIAA Professional Development Seminar Series. We have our Center's Chief Scientist, Dennis Bushell, is going to be talking today on future of autonomy. He's been here at NASA for 53 years. He's worked from Gemini, Apollo, clear up to hypersonic, air-breathing, propulsion, transition work, both experimental and CFD. And he is a member of the National Academy of Engineering, an honorary fellow of AIAA, fellow of ASME, and the Royal Aeronautics Society. You guys are going to be in for a really interesting talk today. All of Dennis's talks are really interesting, so especially for you younger people that have never seen or had Dennis Bushnell talk. But I would like to thank and welcome Dennis Bushnell for his talk.
Okay, this thing's supposed to be on. This is probably the most important technology you will deal with in your career. And it has a huge probability of at some point ending your career. So you need to listen up. It starts from automation. We automated agriculture in this country starting in the early 1800s. And we went from a workforce of 94% in agriculture to feed us to today less than 2% feeds us and the rest of the world because we automated agriculture. Autonomy is essentially automation plus machine intelligence, and therefore this brief has quite a bit in it about machine intelligence. And this autonomy, as I said, is a really big deal. It will change, it is changing human society, civilization, and your personal lives mightily. What we're going to be talking about is real autonomy, not some half-pregnant version, okay, on the way to autonomy, but real autonomy, okay? And real autonomy are things that are designed to operate after tasking them without direct human direction or intervention, including, and this is the real key between trusted autonomy and the rest of it, unanticipated events. Now, as you're probably very familiar, there's knowns, there's known unknowns, and then there's unknown unknowns, okay? And the anticipated events are unknown unknowns. As I'll indicate, we've been able to do wheels up to wheels down, aeronautics, airplane flight for many decades. And we still want humans, okay? And why do we want humans? Because we really don't trust the machines to handle the unanticipated events, the gotchas, okay? So if you want true autonomy, you have to develop a system which will handle the unanticipated events. That's the whole key to what we're going to be discussing here. So why autonomous systems? Compared to humans, they know far more. Think of Watson on steroids. The machines know everything. That's why Watson, which has been applied to oncology, to cancer medicine, is now, early days, 3 to 5 times better than any human oncologist because it knows far more, okay? They're less expensive. The machines can't cash checks, okay? In any endeavor, most of the costs of the endeavor are the cost to pay humans. They exclude operational human error. In aviation, for example, some 80 to 85% of the errors are human factors. It's very clear if you want a safe system, you get rid of the humans. They have far less latency, they're much faster, they provide wholly new functionalities, humans are incapable of it. They have a far longer duty cycle. They don't have to get up and go to the restroom. They don't have to sleep. They don't have to eat, okay? And so, size reductions. The machines can be made much smaller than the classic size humans. They're faster, more efficient, more durable, more patient, operate at less cost, and in many cases, things that we can't do. So, autonomous systems are, in general, goodness in an economic sense. Whether or not they're goodness for the human psyche and the human existence theorem, that's to be determined. The current stage, we're at an early stage, but developing extremely rapidly worldwide with massive amounts of resources. There's some university courses, some degrees are being created, a few books are being published. The major issues revolve around fundamentally inhuman decisions. The DoD is now wrapped around robotic, killer robots, okay? One can say that a Tomahawk cruise missile has long been a killer robot, okay? Once you fire it, it's going to kill whatever you've aimed it at if it doesn't divert. So the issue then is trust and reliability and capability, okay, which are dictated by the level of technologies and their system of system developments, because these are system of systems. We're going to be talking about technologies, and then we need to talk about the system of systems. Applications for us, autonomous personal air vehicles, which are a potential $1 trillion a year market and would enable vast cost avoidance for all kinds of roads and bridges, because this is the automobile market. And they take off on the street in front of your house, and we can do them now. And the reason we can't do them now is because we don't have the air traffic control system to enable 36 million UAS in controlled airspace. Currently, next gen is the next version of the air traffic control system. It won't be in there until 2025 or 2030, and it will enable 7,000 UAS in controlled airspace instead of 36 million, so we've got to do something very different. Mars ISRU, currently humans on Mars, what's affordable is not safe, and what's safe is not affordable. In order to be able to afford safety, we've got to get the cost down. The way to get the cost down is to reduce the 900 metric tons in low Earth orbit that we need in order to get them there. And the way to do that is to, with the huge resources we now know are on Mars, including all that water, we need to send autonomous robots 5 to 10 years before the humans go with printing to make everything the humans need there, okay, essentially everything, and have it all checked out at planetary conditions, all the functionalities, all the safety, which we can't do anything about now if we just bring it here just when the humans go, okay? So these are autonomous robotics, which once they're on Mars can't cash checks, so it's all free. An autonomous air traffic control system to enable the personal air vehicles, and autonomous in-space assembly manufacturing operations, including cooperative ConOps, and distributed miniaturized space science sensors on UAS and CubeSats, with the reductio ad absurdum being smart dust, which is being worked in the UK and elsewhere, so that we have the resolution, the sensitivity, the coverage of the atmospheric sensors so that we can determine what's really going on and do regional climate projections, all right? Here in Hampton Roads, we need a regional climate projection. We want to know how much the water is going to come up here, okay? Australia doesn't worry us so much. We need to worry about here. Also, there are a large number of positive climate feedbacks, which we don't have the data for. They're not included in the IPCC projections. And therefore, the IPCC projections are crudely about a factor of 2 too low in terms of changes. The system functions, okay? So this is now systems. These are the bits that if you're going to do autonomous systems, these are the things you have to worry about. In the beginning, what kind of functionalities are you looking for? The complete specification of the problem. Then there's the problem with the long extension cord, okay? What do you do about energetics? And in terms of robotics, for all the decades we've been working on autonomous robotics or trying to, this has been the problem, okay? Lithium ion batteries are only so good. Here, under IRAD program here, we have now been able to do lithium air batteries and recharge them, which was the key. And if all of this goes well forward, this is essentially the energy density of chemical, and then we need to go beyond chemical if we're going to do this really long term. Durability. and machine intelligence. Okay, I've got some charts later on machine intelligence, but let me go through this briefly now. There's 3 ways to do human-level machine intelligence, and this is the key to all this autonomy business, because autonomy is machine intelligence plus automation. First of all is soft computing. Neural nets, fuzzy logic, genetic algorithms, okay? Machine intelligence, AI, started with essentially expert systems. A bunch of if-then specification, millions of lines of code, and the robot dies halfway across the room, okay? Then we started into neural nets and a very small set of instructions, and the robot learns, and it runs across the room, okay? Very different, and so this is neural nets. What happened about 5 years ago is people took neural nets, combined them with deep learning, big data, and big machines, and birthed Watson, okay? And what Watson and sons of Watson and grandsons of Watson is now doing is they are learning to produce human and beyond human level capabilities in niche areas, like face recognition, like this, like that, okay? And every microsecond that goes by, there's another niche area because people all over the world are doing this, okay? And if you assemble enough of these niche areas, and once one machine knows how to do it, they all know how to do it, okay? We're getting some very, very useful capability just with soft computing, okay? Then there's biomimetics. About 10 years ago now, IBM birthed the IBM Blue Brain Project, run by Henry Markram out of Switzerland. And he was working on nanosectioning the neocortex and replicating it in silicon. Don't have to know how it works, just replicate it. And they ran into some very interesting emergent properties. He then shopped this to the European Union, and that birthed the Human Brain Project, which he's now running in Europe, which scared the Americans, and the Americans set up their own Human Brain Project, and there's several universities. The object of this is to nanosection the neocortex and replicate it in silicon, and the current projections are 5 to 10 years out, we will have that sort of machine intelligence. Now, humans acquired intelligence in a very different way. Over the past million years of human evolution, we were mostly superb hunter-killer groups, okay? And what we did was, during that time, we would have a problem, okay? Yeah, if we don't do this, you know, the dinosaurs eat us up. So what we would do is evolve a piece of our brain in order to survive, okay, evolution. And then we have another problem and evolve another piece of our brain. Eventually, we evolved into pieces so that we woke up, okay? And that's called emergence. And the web, some people think, is starting to emerge, okay? I'm not so sure it's not nonlinear oscillations, but anyway, this is what people think. So these are the 3 approaches. The current one, near term, the one where all the hype is, the current AI business is the soft computing. After that, we'll get hopefully a much better system in the near term, near to midterm, and then emergence can happen anytime. We have to worry about safety and security, all right? There's charts and charts of this. You have to include all of this stuff if you're going to do autonomous systems, okay? This is not simple, okay? Nobody promised you a road garden if you're going into autonomous systems, okay? You have to worry about electron health. People are out there jamming, EMP, radiation, okay? Cyber. We currently buy 75 to 80% of our hardware, software, and firmware as overseas commercial off the shelf. We've looked at who's making this, we're not happy. We can't do the forensics, we don't know what's in it, particularly the software built into the hardware, you can't trust it. All right, that's the zeroth order problem. Then this software that we're buying, the best software you can make is 2 errors per 1,000 lines of code. The software that we're buying has 40 to 45 errors per 1,000 lines of code. And a lot of these errors are on the web where people can buy them, okay? So worry about software, worry a lot about software, okay? Then you need a system that understands what the untoward happenings are so that you have trusted autonomy. Then you need communications with other robotic elements, with the Internet of Things, okay, where we're communicating with everything through the Internet of Things. And by the way, it's nice to communicate with the humans every once in a while if you're an autonomous system. Sensors, which are, I've got all kinds of stuff on sensors, and I'm not going to go through that much of it. Actuators, navigation, beyond GPS. Never ever trust GPS. GPS has almost negligible signal strength, and it's ridiculously easy to jam and co-op, and so you have to use something beyond GPS. Software, computers are all available, and so forth. You need mobility for the robot. As I said, energetics, hierarchy or social structures within the autonomous systems. It's not just one autonomous gadget, okay? These are whole civilizations of autonomous gadgets that we need for the ISRU on Mars. And we'd like to send a couple of autonomous robots to Mars, and along with, before they make everything on Mars, to replicate themselves so that there's more of them working away. And therefore, the autonomous evolution of autonomous robotics. The design process, you need the problem specification in all of its detail, including cost. Okay, we at Langley, we in NASA are not that good in putting cost as an independent variable up front and need to far more. You need to decide what technology levels you're going to use, and then you need to look at the system of systems assembly. The worldwide IT revolution. We've come on silicon and computing a factor of 10 to the 8th since '59, okay? Going forward, as we leave silicon and go to bio-optical, quantum, nanomolecular, and atomic computing, there's another 10 to the 9th to 10 to the 12th to go, okay? We have currently, with the exascale, in a couple of years, will be 10 cubed to that, then we've got another 10 to the 9th to that, okay? Except for quantum. Quantum from NSA, that funds a lot of the research on this, tells me that quantum, a really good quantum system, can be up to 10 to the 44th better. Okay, that's a really big number. Ames and Google have an institute out there at Ames to do quantum computing. They bought a D-Wave machine, the third version of it, the fourth is about to come out, and they put it on a very carefully tailored problem, and it's 10 to the 8th faster, okay? So quantum computing is coming, and that will change everything independent of whether or not autonomy happens. All of this computing is giving rise to this machine intelligence because all of the work on AI since the late 50s, the machines were never big enough, and now the machines are at human capability, about 36 petaflops. We're turning everything into a sensor to do the sense making, to feed the big data into these machines, and we're actually deploying a global sensor grid. 3 trillion sensors will be networked and deployed within the next 10 years, says DoD. Communications, RF, all kinds, including low probability of intercept. Optical comms, we're doing optical comms between here and Mars. Optical comms has essentially infinite bandwidth. It's fantastic. And then a friend of mine, Hal Putoff, has a way to do quantum vector scalar potential comms. This is the patent if you want to write it down. This is scalar waves only. The EM part is suppressed. So this is not electromagnetics, it's quantum comms. This stuff will go through planets, okay? It's not jammable, it's high bandwidth, and I'm dealing with the Navy because this will bring the submarines into the outer air battle by giving them high bandwidth comms through the water column. NAV. PCL. PCL is using television tower signals or other ambient RF. Okay, the television towers don't move very fast, very far, and therefore, if you know a couple of them, you can triangulate and so forth. Okay, and the television towers have 10,000 times the GPS signal strength. Then there's atom optics. The DoD calls this cold atoms. Okay. This is a Bose-Einstein condensate producing a single stream of atoms all at the same quantum state. Use lasers to move it around. This is 3 to 4 orders of magnitude better inertial navigation system. And DoD has miniaturized this down to where you can put it on the cruise missiles and so forth. We could do an optical GPS if we wanted to, much harder to co-opt and jam and so forth. And then we, NASA, have mapped the magnetic and gravitational anomalies on the planet to sufficient detail, and there are now quantum level, very sensitive magnetometers and graviometers so that you can navigate off of the magnetic and the gravity anomalies. Sensors, this is the usual rack up. There are now nanofocal cantilevers which are sensitive to a millionth of a degree. Infrasound, Langley is the world's go-to place for infrasound less than 50 hertz. We tracked the space shuttle launch, the last one out of Kennedy, from here with infrasound. And we can do helicopters at 80 to 100 miles and that kind of stuff. Sensors is a very rich field. I'm not going to go through all this detail on sensors. Sensors is moving faster than just about anything. The sensor trends, micro to nano, hyperspectral, multiphysics, hypersensitive, hyperresolution, integrated with actuators, sensors, comms, harvesting energy, wireless, obviously, and this is what you need to do sense making. The Google autonomous car knows everything that's going on within 100 or so meters of it with all kinds of lidars and other things, and it's producing some 520 million bits per second in order to do that. It's not hard. The emerging sensor areas, a few of them are on here. There's just all kinds of them. Emerging areas, cooperative co-ops for these sensors, including smart dust. You put the heavy bits on the ground. If you're going up in space, you can use the optical reflections and so forth. The Europeans are making extensive use of commercial air travel as collection platforms so that you get all kinds of atmospheric science data without putting up satellites and so forth. All part of this is the second quantum revolution. The next big thing beyond nano is, in fact, quantum technology. It's not quantum science, it's a quantum technology with all kinds of quantum sensors, which are, in many cases, orders of magnitude better. Software needs to be, for autonomous systems, distributed but networked. If you have a system of systems, you need a centrally monitored and local sensing and control. You need future predictions in the software, obviously, with massive redundancy. Computing, we've essentially got the computing to do any kind of autonomy that you want. It's only going to get better, okay? The current best machine on the planet is the Chinese machine, which is about 35 petaflops. And there's another one coming out, an American one, I think it's 76 petaflops in a year or two. The machine intelligence approach, as I said, soft computing, biomimetics, and emergence. This is essentially the stuff that I went through before. And of these, they're listed essentially, first now is soft computing, after, smart algorithms, which didn't work so well. People have been trying for a long time to figure out what's the algorithm for the human brain, okay? And that's been an absolute dry hole, okay? Nobody's been able to figure that out. The human brain has very, very slow neural circuitry. It's like 10 to the minus 4 cycle. These big machines that we're using are orders and orders of magnitude more than that. The human brain does what it does because of massive parallelism. So with a massive parallelism, it's about 20 to 25 petaflops. The issues with autonomous systems are safety, terrorism, and the fact that these systems may go berserk, okay? It's perfectly reasonable that they could demonstrate destructive emergent behavior in operation. So you need fail-safe systems and oversights and so forth. All right, can we do autonomous systems today? Yes. Can we do it easier and better in the future? Obviously. The payoff from an electronic ATC system, as I said, are massive. There's vast increases in personal mobility with this, and the internal defense people and the national defense people, DHS, DOD, have both said they can't defend the country without darkening the sky with UAS. Okay? And in order to do that, we need the ATC system, an autonomous ATC system. You can't stand the legacy of human air traffic controllers. Okay? You can't not and do this. And we first realized this for these kind of systems back when we were doing Star Wars missile defense back in the 80s. Okay? We looked at what we were doing and said, no, you can't do systems. You can't do humans. As I understand it, when the Google people started their design of the autonomous cars, they had to decide where should the humans be in the loop on the autonomy systems. And they decided nowhere. They could not trust the humans with their innate propensity to make errors, okay, of all kinds, let them anywhere near the system. The only way you could have a safe system is get rid of the humans. There's massive vulnerabilities to EMP and cyber threats. You need the Faraday cage, all this stuff, and use decouplers. And you need to design for ultra-long life with IVHM and self-repair. You need to worry about corrosion, system nonlinearities, because this thing all runs off of electronics, and anything that can buck with electronics, and it's dead in the water, and it's a boat anchor. Okay, it's not useful. Some piece parts, complexity. Anna McGowan here is our complexity guru, and you need to lash up with her because this is what these systems are. You need to tap into the global sensor grid as it develops, and printing manufacturing makes all of this much cheaper. The current autonomous system situation, SITREP, is decades of increasing capability as the enabling technologies have improved. This deep learning, soft computing is providing useful machine intelligence for increasingly complex tasks. Massive worldwide R&D, okay? Massive worldwide R&D. So I'm going to address here in a couple of minutes where Langley might fit into this massive universe with massive investments, okay? And which was going on for a long time. Langley was really late to this part. So ways forward. Conduct serious knowledgeability of both ongoing and planned applicable R&D worldwide, okay? In the beginning, do the knowledgeability and know flat what everybody is doing and planning to do worldwide, because that's where you start. We do not have the resources, we do not have the time, if we're going to be competitive, to redo wheels, okay? We have got to start at the state of the art and grow from there, okay? And then we need to particularize that, okay? We need to apply the 75% of the R&D on this planet that's now done outside the US as well as what's done inside the US. I've gotten the following response from far too many people over the years. I ask them, okay, do you know what's going on in X, okay? And the usual response I get is, well, X, NASA is doing this here and there, and I say, what about outside of NASA, okay? Blank look, okay? I mean, and I have to review the formal publications that we do here at Langley, and so I look at the reference list to see how many foreign references are on there, bearing in mind that 75% of the research is done outside the US, and there's not many foreign references, okay? We need to much more take advantage of particularly the low TRL level foreign R&D, okay? And then we need to particularize this for some NASA application. We need to work upfront approaches to V&V, obviously. That's before breakfast. And doing this for Mars, autonomous robotics, to make everything on Mars will save the factor of 1,000 increase in cost for on-site humans to do this initially, and provide the requisite pre-human reliability and functionality checks on planet to ensure human safety when they arrive. Then you need to determine the shortfalls between the current state of the art and what we need to do these NASA projects, and then that constitutes what we need to do for a research plan. These are the best in class people. Google, Carnegie Mellon, the National Robotics Engineering Center is absolutely superb. All right, go to their website, look it over. They've been doing everything for everybody, boots on the ground, real system stuff, and we're having one of their people here to talk about trusted autonomy, I think next week. ETH in Zurich is also very good. And then there's the people that are indicated here, the various centers and so forth. And these are not the only people doing it. These are the best people doing it, okay? This is just a sampling of all of the people that are now in this business. The best robotics is in Switzerland and Japan, not in the US, okay? And these other countries are into this very, very seriously. There's a 2015 NASA Tech Roadmap, TA4, which quite honestly has very little technical content, a lot of the usual NASA administrivia, but there's some useful stuff in it. And then there's an NRC report on autonomy for civil aviation 2014 that's not bad. The TA4 states that the extant NASA autonomy efforts are at JPL, JSC, Ames, and Goddard. So where's Langley? Well, Langley's just starting up. Okay? So if you want, and so when you're doing your knowledgeability, you need to go to these people, you need to look at their websites, you need to go talk to these people and find out where they are so we can leapfrog it. We at Langley, starting in 2010, started worrying that, hey, we better jump on this, on this autonomy bandwagon, we need to join this party. Okay, so we started doing studies of autonomy. Many of you in here, I'm sure, were involved in these studies, and many more not here were involved in these studies. We've had marching armies involved in these studies, okay? And we did them in 2011, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, okay? And the result of that is the autonomy operation over in the old Reed Center, and that's been very useful. The continuing research mantras for all of this, we want it ever more intelligent, ever lighter, ever smaller, ever less expensive, ever more robust, ever reduced energy requirements with better sensors, better sense making, and better mobility and dexterity. So given the massive competition with respect to autonomy, including within the agency, the suggestion is to break new ground, work on one of those 4 or 5 areas. We actually had a series of autonomy ideation blue sky workshops sponsored by the chief engineer scientist and the technologist here, the chief so-called, back in December. It was a whole week of these workshops. A day each for the major 4 applications plus 1 day for the basic technologies. And the chief result from all of that was interesting. It says we can now automate anything, okay? The trick is autonomy, trusted autonomy. What do we have to design for? And that's what I'm going to go into. Some other things that we can use or do is applications of a deep learning. Manjula Amber has been running a very nice trap line on working with IBM on applications of a deep learning. And in the last and most complete autonomy study that we did, then it came up and said trust certification safety is a real problem. Trusted autonomy is the problem. So what's missing? For aircraft, if you want trusted autonomy, a zeroth order thing is to collect and examine in detail all of the accidents and near misses since the beginning of flight, determine root cause, and design the autonomous system to handle all of this stuff. Okay? I don't think any of you has access to this stuff yet on your desk, but you need to. You need to update potential threats and vulnerabilities because the previous accidents were on the then-year technologies and systems. Well, now we're putting in new technologies and systems. So what kind of accidents could occur with these new technologies and systems? Okay. An incomplete list of trusted autonomy components. You need to design in approaches to handle threats and vulnerabilities once they're identified. We're going to talk about how you identify them. Fail-safe, safe electronics, and refuse to crash with deployable chutes is nice. Flow control to obviate flow separation and handle. We can now do flow control to give aircraft bird-like flight. Okay, the flow control people can handle flow separation control and fly through anything. Okay, but we don't do it yet. The combination of machine intelligence and net-enabled robots will be more pervasive with increasing capability, and they're going to continue to take the jobs, all the jobs, and I'll go into that at the last. So this is a recipe. Use big data, deep learning, neural nets, AI, to determine the potential unknown unknowns. Okay? Think of what you think are the unknown unknowns, and then turn this machinery loose, feed it with the big data, and let it tell you what the unknown unknowns are. You compare your list with theirs, and then you have a much better list. Then with that list of unknown unknowns and known unknowns, okay, you then do a risk assessment. And you decide which of all of this stuff needs to be included in the design of the autonomous system from the get-go. Because you're going to design the autonomous system to do the functionalities that you want, and you need to also design in the really bad unknown unknowns and known unknowns that come out of this risk assessment. Okay? The rest of the unknown unknowns that you might want to worry about go into an onboard resilience system. And the onboard resilience system is a big data, deep learning onboard system, an AI system, okay, which you continually feed with all of the upcoming updated data and the stuff coming forward, okay? And this system will autonomously, okay, decide whether there's a new problem coming or a problem coming, decide what to do about it, and it will have oversight and control of every system on the airplane, and it will concoct a solution space and execute it. Okay? So you not only need to design autonomous systems in when you design, you need to have an onboard system to update all this stuff so that you can then successfully go through whatever happens, or as close to that approximation as you can possibly do. There was a near crash at Oklahoma City years ago, many of you remember it, where all of the aero controls went on the fritz and the pilots landed using the engine controls. Okay, so that's what I mean. Give the system control over everything on there to see what it can use to. Okay. Now, what do you need to put into this system, the reliance system and the system to decide what you should design for? What are all the unknown unknowns? Okay, this is the kind of data you need to feed. One, weather, including historical occurrences and worries associated with such. Okay. Storm's coming in. Okay, historically, how bad can a storm be? Okay, if I'm stupid enough to fly through the middle of it, okay, what's going to happen? Two, IVHM onboard sensors. This system needs to know what the complete vehicle health rep is continuously. Okay? Three, All of the traffic, ATM setup, including obviously projections in time, because this is now something that's going somewhere, and everything's changing all the time. Okay, so you need a lot of forward projections. Complete documentation of all the previous safety mishaps, near misses, and so forth. Reliability data for all the vehicle systems and components, okay, so that this machine, this autonomous system, knows how much it can rely on things when it's deciding on what to use when, okay? Complete performance specifications for all of these systems so it knows what kind of functionalities it has available to it, okay? What kind of terrorist things? I mean, humans can come up with things that, you know, it's hard for machines to intuit, so you need, you know, human input here because it's the humans that are producing this kind of stuff. You know, until the humans use the robots to come up with it, which will happen, okay? If we do digital twin, then all the digital twin databases are available, okay? And redundant navigation approaches and fixes. Awful lot of airplanes just fly into the bloody ground, okay? We need to quit doing that. All right, when industrialization first occurred, there were fears of massive, this is the 1830s, this is where the Luddites came from. People worried the machines were going to take the jobs. Didn't happen. So why is this different today? And it's different because we have never produced a second intelligent species. We didn't do that before. In 30 years, it's likely that virtually all the intellectual work now done by trained human beings, such as doctors, lawyers, scientists, engineers, NASA research people, okay, will be done by computers for pennies now. Artificial general intelligence is likely to eliminate all of today's decently paid jobs. The self-driving trucks are now on the road in Europe, all over the place, being checked out. They work fine, no accidents. 9% of US employment is truck drivers, okay? And that's just the start of an ongoing, there's a really serious study from Oxford and it agrees with other studies. In 20 years, 25 years, at least 50% of US jobs are gone. And what will replace them isn't clear at all, and that's why a large contingent of the European countries, Canada, and even parts of the US, and are looking at a guaranteed annual income. Okay, so and there's two other solution spaces. One is we now have 59,000 people with brain chips installed. All right, so we can augment your brain so that you can try to compete with the humans, and if it's networked, then you are one of them, okay? This is the second one. The third one is more interesting. If you ask me about the third one, I'll go after it later. The truth is, only people are now surplus, and they're a liability. People make mistakes, machines don't. People get tired and cranky, machines don't. People are erratic and unreliable, machines are not. People think and act slowly, machines don't. People have very definite limitations of endurance and concentration, machines don't. These human shortcomings mean every modern system is designed to minimize or exclude human intervention. No human can compete with the relentless, accurate speed of the robot. Some projections in 30 years, not only with respect to AI, but also the whole business. We currently extend human life at about 0.3 years per year. We've been doing this for a long time now. So if you live another year, you get another 0.3 years to live. Okay? The average lifespan in the 1950s was like 55 or something like that. It's ridiculous. The Stanford people looked at where CRISPR and the synbio revolution and the genomic revolution are going, and they said in 20, 25, 30 years, we should be extending human life at 1 year per year, which is kind of an interesting number. Machine intelligence approaching to beyond human, a network, global sensor grid, global mind, because the machines will all be networked. Machines taking over employment, producing wealth for everyone. Molecular manufacturing, humans becoming cyborgs, revolutionary energy, which I'm involved with, and we go from the IT bio nano age to the virtual age, and we're already almost there. Over the past million years plus of human evolution, we've been the dominant animal on the planet. We've had to work to feed ourselves, and now it appears we're creating machines that are much more productive than us and create massive wealth, relieving us from the need to work. This is a massive sea change in the human existence theory. Okay? The human society is now faced by 5 or 6 existential issues, and the machines are only one of them. Okay? There's 4 others, and they're all hitting us simultaneously, and things are changing very rapidly. I work with the FBI, and what's happening is that the psychosomatic illness rates are going crazy. About half of the population is chronically depressed, and we're killing about 12,000, 14,000 people on the roads due to road rage. People are losing it, they're getting, and so forth and so on. Okay? We're just not built. We evolved with the amygdala, which is the part of our brain that makes us conservative. I mean, you know, there's some of us who are amygdala deficient, but most people, you know, don't like change. Okay, even if it's good or bad change, they don't like change. However, in the late 1800s, there was great consternation at Manhattan Island, where in 15 to 20 years disappear under 20 feet of horse manure. Okay, because horses were the usual conveyance. And this didn't happen because of the internal combustion engine. So one never knows, okay? I've worked a lot with the Russians, and their favorite saying, we will live and we will see. Thank you very much, and I'll take questions. And please, my ears are as old as the rest of me, so you know, I may try to hear you. Yeah, go ahead.
Your message is mind-boggling to me, and your terms, I only understand about half of them. What do you estimate the time will be when TSA can be replaced by these robots?
It won't be a person, okay? We are getting better, believe it or not, at reading faces and intuiting what people are thinking. We are working on reading minds, okay? We have to do something. This recent thing in Orlando, okay, has raised the issue of what can armies of one do. Okay? And with, there's all this thing about firearms. Firearms is not the real issue. The real issue is bio, right? And other things, which are even worse. And so, you know, individuals can really raise significant mayhem. And the TSA thing is, you know, one application where you try to filter for people going on airplanes. My response to this is stay tuned to Oculus Rift and the other real-world, real-time, commercial now, 5 senses virtual reality, which is better than real, and think about teletravel and think about the idiocy of then going physically traveling, okay, spending all that money and all that time and subjecting yourself to all those diseases, okay. I mean, an airplane is a pest house. Every time I go on an airplane, I come out with some kind of disease, okay? So it's, you know, think a little bit more broadly in terms of solution space. Okay, next question. Yes, sir.
So there are a lot of adaptive control algorithms out there right now that have mathematical stability proofs, but in order to actually understand those, you need to have a pretty extensive background in math. And do you see that as a barrier to being able to trust such systems?
We need to know math. Okay, I mean, you know, I didn't promise you Rose Garden. I told you that up front. Okay, I mean, you need to know the math, but if you want some comfort, the machines are now writing, I think, 70 to 80% of the software. Okay, and the machines, you're familiar with the computer compilers, okay? Well, we now have compilers between you and the mathematics these are developing. So, you know, there's hope, but I would, you know, grin and bear it and go do the math. Yeah, you.
So Jack Barrier, do you see the rise in automation causing an increase in income disparity, and have you sensed?
Yeah. The question is about income disparity, and what's going on with that. The income disparity right now is greater than it ever has been in history, okay? And the income disparity is, among other things, and the fact that the job's going away, and as part of it, caused the Arab Spring and the Occupy movement and social unrest such as you haven't seen before because of these 4 existential issues that society is faced with. The way around the income disparity, the reasons for it are obvious. Most of the really big fortunes that have been made, in the industrial age, we created wealth by raping natural resources. Now, in the IT age, we create wealth by inventing things. And so the inventors that have come up with a way to very cleverly use all of these IT systems and the data they produce to repackage the data and sell the data, okay, when the data is free, okay? So they have very little investment, and everybody wants this stuff, okay? So, and the more you use it, the more data you produce for them to make more money for themselves. Okay, this is the classic self-licking ice cream cone. Okay, and how we're going to fix this is not clear. Okay, for the guaranteed income, some people are suggesting that we put the machines in a global commons. Okay, we just don't know. This is work in progress, and there are no cute, simple solutions. There's a question here, yeah. Hold on, let me get close enough to hear it.
Hi. Do you think true artificial intelligence is possible, and that this idea of emergence and machines emerging, do you think that's like a viable idea? Or have we ever achieved that?
Yeah. The question is a true artificial intelligence an oxymoron or not? And the answer is it depends on how you define intelligence, okay? The AI that's going on now with the deep learning neural nets and the whole business is operationally taking human jobs. For the intelligence the humans need to do these jobs, the machines are better, okay? So at the operational level of most human jobs, we have it now, all right, in an increasing manner. Now, if you go into higher level bits of intelligence, more esoteric, try to get into the swamp of consciousness and org, and is it quantum, and all this other stuff, okay? I mean, this is more of a religious issue at the present time than it is okay. I mean, in actual fact, at the operational level of engineering, okay, we're very far along, and once we get the biomimetics, we're there. Next question.
I was going to ask something a little similar. I wanted to know, you talked a lot about the safety issues of
Yes.
creating an autonomous machine, but what about the ethical issue far down the line of creating a machine that can think and converse? What would it think about its role in society, and how would you handle that?
Yeah, the classic exam for a robot was if you could discuss with it and you couldn't tell it wasn't a human, and that's been done. It's been passed. Okay. What you raise is self-awareness and consciousness.
Yeah.
And so that's the same question she asked. And there are two views of this. The dominant technical and scientific view is that consciousness is nothing special, okay? You just learn enough and you're there. Okay? There's a few people that think there's something special about consciousness and something special about humans and all kinds of other stuff. And this gets extremely esoteric and even religious, okay? And that's all to be determined. But currently, the best that I know of, we can do at the operational level you won't know it's a machine. Questions? Yes.
Why do you think the United States is so far behind other countries in this area?
Pardon?
Why do you think the United States is so far behind other countries?
Well, we're not so far behind, okay? We just are not, okay. Africa has a very good communication system because they never had landlines. So they leaped to the microwave towers and the phones, okay? The US had all of this infrastructure built up, okay, and all of this political business associated with feeding these infrastructures and jobs programs and everything else, okay, that the US is less enthusiastic about changes for many reasons, okay? Now, Silicon Valley and all of that stuff is an anomaly, and so we can still do it, okay? And you know, we do it, and people allege that we are the best in the world at doing it, okay? But where there are infrastructures involved, existing infrastructures, there's this huge inertia, economic and otherwise, to not change, okay? And other places, therefore, are more nimble. Well, the Japanese are doing robots, more humanoid robots than other people. That's because the Japanese has a very rapidly aging population. And in order to take care of people, they're developing robots, okay? And the robots are cheap, they don't cash checks. And the patients in the nursing homes like the robots better than the humans, okay? So evidently there's been some success in all of this. And you know, going forward, there are companies now, when you go up to the desk to enter the company, there's a robot, okay? And there are now robots in some airports that you can ask questions of, and a robot will tell you, you know, answer your questions, so on. You're going to see this increasingly, okay? It's not only humanoid-like robots. It's also humanoid robots, and they're getting very good. And the Japanese historically have been the best. What's that? You hold on? Oh, one more. Hold on. Let me get back there.
Yeah, so I've got a question concerning optimization. So you were saying that the computers, they are now writing 80% of the code and through machine learning and things. Are we going to have to incorporate some type of safeguards to make sure that we're not optimized out of the equation, you know, as far as...
We who?
Us as human beings. You know?
Ah!
Yeah.
Ah! Huh? There's an article by Bill Joy, who at the time was the chief scientist at, I think, Sun Microsystems. It was in the literature around 2001. Look it up. It's called "The Future Doesn't Need Us," or something like this, okay? And he was very prescient. This is now 15 years ago, okay? And he came out and said that as X, Y, and Z and Q are developing, okay, there's no humans. No humans. You know, what we're going to do and be. Let me take that as an excuse to tell you what my third approach to the machines taking the jobs is, okay? Before 1810, before the industrial age, there were no jobs. We were all subsistence farmers to feed ourselves. We were independent. We didn't work for anybody, okay? Except for a few people. Then the industrial age happened. We ripped up the social structure in the nice agriculture villages where people were happy, moved people to cities where they only had mostly their familiar social infrastructures and learned how to spell alienation and altered human sociability in very drastic ways. Okay? And we became employees, okay? And jobs appeared. Okay, and so we're no longer in the industrial age. Jobs are an artifact of the industrial age. So therefore, we're moving into something else which we're inventing in real time. And this is my view of the something else. And I've got exemplars of this. There's now a number of people, amount of land, 6 acres per person left on the planet. On a half acre, you can take and with the genomics and bio business, grow all the food you want. At this electronic cottage, you can tele everything. You can tele-educate, you can tele-travel, you can telemedicine, you can tele-everything, which is going on now, by the way. Okay? At this half acre, we have 200,000 off the electric grid homes now. You can generate all your own power. At this half acre, you can recycle the water and collect it and so forth, and so you're off the water grid, the food grid, the sewage grid, and the electric grid. Okay? And you can live very nicely without a job. Okay? And so this is back to the future. Okay? I've got friends of mine who are living on a circular butte in southern Utah that are not connected to anything and happy as a claim. Okay? This is doable now. Okay? By an increasing number of people. Okay? Because we're not going to have jobs anyway, so we might as well have the raw independence, okay? The spirit that we're now captains of our own fate. We don't have to worry about kowtowing to anybody, okay? Live where you want, as long as you don't kill your neighbor, okay? The robots will come get you if you kill your neighbor. Okay. Thank you very much.